All right, so in today's video, I'm gonna break down very clearly why billionaires do not get in info. And honestly, it might shock you. But before we get into that, a message to everyone in our industry: it's time to get back to work, okay? I was just in Europe past couple months, most of July, Euro summer. Saw a lot of very familiar faces in our industry, regular places in the main hotspots. But I was in Saint-Tropez and literally 2 days into a 7-day, 350,000 euro trip, I told my assistant, get the plane ready for afternoon. I woke up on the second day, I was like, or I guess woke up on the third day, and I was like, I don't know why. Sometimes I just get this feeling when there's opportunity around the corner. Funnily enough, this happened right at the end of 2024. It was F1, had the best paddock tickets and all this stuff. And I remember literally after the first day, and I was like, nope, I'm going home. I'm chaining myself to the desk. And what's so funny is whenever I get like antsy, sometimes I get antsy because I just know that there's opportunity around the corner. I've just been doing this so long that I have a sixth sense for this. And whenever this happens, I leave Alex. I'm sure a lot of you guys know Alex. He's my, what do I even call Alex? He's like our creative director, not so much the day-to-day content, but all the crazy creative campaigns that you guys see, announcement videos for investments into different companies or whatever it is, like, just sort of the big stuff. Obviously, Alex is responsible for all those stuff. Just like me, Alex works extremely hard, but he also likes to party extremely hard. The reason I say that is anytime I get antsy and I'm like, you know what, I just know I need to be back at my desk working right now, I always tell him, stay with our friends, enjoy XYZ. So this happened in F1, and I remember receiving a video message from a participant in our space, let's call it. And he was with Alex and they were taking shots, and he was like, bro, what are you doing? Why aren't you here? And I remember sending him a photo chained to my desk at like 2, 3 in the morning. And I was like, bro, I'm working. And I think it's this psychological thing. And even seeing a lot of people in our industry and in South of France and Saint-Tropez specifically, that's the hot spot. Everyone knows 20th to 30th of July, that's really our hot spot. And the reason I bring that up is just, I'm getting that feeling again. Last time I got it was in December. And I don't know why, in moments like that, I just like having a psychological edge of like, you guys are having fun? Okay, now's my time to work. And as I said, don't get me wrong, I work harder and play harder than anyone else. It's just these days we don't really, I guess, show that part of things online. We try to keep everything very discreet. And yeah, I don't know. I guess we've just grown up a bit, It's all fine to party and have fun. But just be discreet about it. It's part of growing up. Anyways, all that to say, when I had that feeling in end of 2024, like in the next 6 months, I wrote a very large check to become co-owner in WAP. I then proceeded to break every single record on WAP, the 1 hour, the 24 hour, the 7-day, and the 30-day record. In fact, we broke the 30-day record in 48 hours and 19 minutes, and then proceeded to buy consultant.com. And right before that period, end of 2024 was the last time I had this feeling that I have right now. So I guess this is my message to you. If you are in our industry, I think there's so much opportunity out there, you would not believe it. Now, there's no opportunity for billionaires, which I know is a purpose of this video, and I'm gonna get into that in just a second. But yeah, truly, I've been trying to tell people for so long, if you just play this game, if you just treat this like the best cash flow, profit generating business in the world, because it is, nothing comes close. And then you use those funds and treat yourself like your own little family office or your own little VC, and you deploy that capital intelligently, sky's the limit. But I know you guys are wondering, all right, you're so bullish on info, knowledge business, coaching, anything in this space. You guys kind of know what I'm talking about. But then why don't billionaires get involved? And I think this has been something that very much frustrates me. I see this a lot, even stupid comments on Twitter. I'm just trying to give you context. I'm a very private and discreet person. I don't name drop, I don't this, that, but just to like really give you context, because it frustrates me. You get a lot of people who are like, why don't billionaires sell info? It's like, in the nicest way possible, how many billionaires do you know? Like really, like how many billionaires do you interact with on a day-to-day basis? Because I can tell you in the past month alone, I'm in Paris on a random business trip, and I bump into one of my friends who's literally worth not 10 figures, 11 figures. In fact, used to kind of be my neighbor here in Dubai. From my office here, I look right across, and he used to live right across from me. And I only figured that out the first time I went to his for dinner. So anyways, I bump into him, and then the next day we arranged to have tea and catch up, and we spent 4 hours catching up one-on-one. And then another one of his friends who's worth, I don't know, not quite 11 figures anymore. I think he's only worth a measly $5 billion or something like that. But still, just one of the greatest minds ever. I mean, both of them are. And they're friends, so he comes and joins us. And then when I came back, I had a call with a longstanding member of Shark Tank, another billionaire who actually that call was specifically to get into info, asking me, hey, how would I get into info? What's your recommendation? Can you consult me? Can you push me in the right direction? And then a week later, I was with one of my other friends at Banya, and he just told me, I mean, this is public information, I can say this now. He literally just sold half of his assets for $1 billion. So I think the reason I say this is because this is in the past month alone, and the past month alone has been like my month off, sort of my more party month. This is my exposure to billionaires. So the reason I say this is because their accomplishments, I'm far from that. You know, I'm still a tiny little pleb in comparison and working my way up there. But when I say these things, it has actual weight. It's not just some random person on Twitter who has an opinion as to why billionaires don't get into info. Obviously, my friends, we speak in great length and great detail, and they tell me about their businesses, and I tell them about my businesses. And these billionaires are always very, very interested in info, like very interested. So they know a lot about it. And in fact, many of them are trying to get into it or always have the thought of getting into it. So with all this blue balling, you're probably now going, okay, Iman, like, tell me, what is the reason? Why do they not get into info if everything's sounding so great? And here is the truth. The reason billionaires don't get into info is the same reason I don't start a coffee shop. It's the same reason you don't start a gym. Now, if I could start a coffee shop and there was a high probability of me making 5 million, 10 million, even $20 million a year in net profit, take home profit, without crazy amounts of work because I have other stuff going on, I would start a coffee shop. I have nothing against starting a coffee shop. I have nothing against starting a gym. It's just certain opportunities at a certain scale are too small. Listen, it's in the same way I fundamentally have nothing against having a thumbnail agency. Like, we know how to do it super well. I could spin up that business in no time. But the size, the opportunity of it is simply not too big. And this is literally what I was saying to that billionaire who reached out and asked for help and was like, hey, can you just guide me and direct me and tell me what to do here? I said, realistically, with you being a billionaire, or I guess fluctuates based on currencies and time of the year and whatnot, without divulging too much information, but nonetheless, very firmly in billionaire category. I said, if you could start an info business and within 2-3 years could ramp it to 30, 40, $50 million a year in profit, go for it. But the truth is there's really not that many info businesses that are making 40, $50 million a year in profit. Because by the way, this individual actually did do a form of info, but they had a partner beforehand. Now that partner paid him I won't disclose the amount, but it was an 8-figure year check, as well as some other individuals, an 8-figure year check, but everything was handled. So he's like, okay, cool, even though I'm still a billionaire, it's an extra $10 million and I don't really need to run the business, and why not? So I guess the reason I'm saying all this is because the truth is, yes, billionaires don't sell info. So he used to sell info. And he also, by the way, makes millions and millions of dollars a year from speaking engagements. So with a speaking engagement, you might go, oh, well, if you're a billionaire, like, why would you need to make multiple millions a year from speaking engagements? Why not? Billionaires love money. Billionaires love money. Everyone loves money. And also in their mind, they're like, let me get this straight. So I get paid to teach what I've done. That's their dream business. That's everyone's dream business. Like, I think the reason I'm making this video is because it frustrates me when people try to basically pin it as if it's like an ethical or moral thing, or like, oh, you know, it's beneath them. No. It's not beneath them. It's just in the same way, having a gym, I don't feel like owning a gym is beneath me. I don't feel like owning a coffee shop is beneath me. I would love to have both. It's just beneath me in terms of opportunity size. And by the way, that's very obvious and very clear because it's just simply not worth the amount of time that they would have to build the infrastructure in order to have a 20 or $30 million a year business, which is what it would have to be worth it for them to go through all of that time and effort, as in 20 to 30 million in net profit, which is what they would need to get out in order for the amount of work it is to put in. Because, you know, building a 20 or $30 million a year in actual profit info business, knowledge business, that's not easy, okay? Building a 2, 3, 4, even $5 million a year info business, very different story, okay? Very, very different story. And once again, we're talking about profit here. You know, every once in a while I mention revenue, but that's just to give a bit more context when I'm talking about a specific topic. But like on this channel, in our world, we talk about net profit because net profit, actual cash, is the only way that you can invest in companies. Add to your stock portfolio, add to your crypto portfolio, buy the legacy properties you want, okay? Your top line revenue, vanity numbers, I don't give about that. I could not care less about that. Good luck trying to use your top line revenue numbers in order to buy that dream property for you and your family. Good luck taking that money and going to a software company or a payments company or a data facility company, whatever it is, whatever you're interested in investing in, and writing a check and going, oh, I'm going to write my check based on my top line numbers. It's insanity. And as I said, it's probably the thing I hate the most about the info space is this obsession about top line revenue as if it matters in the slightest. So anyways, back to the point. I told this individual, the billionaire, I said, how much would it be worth it for you to actually build a full infrastructure info business? And he said, I need to make probably about $30 million a year profit. And then I said, yeah, even though I'm #1 biggest proponent, biggest fan of the space, I love the space more than anything, and I've committed my life to the space basically. I said, what you're gonna put in is not what you're gonna get out, okay? It's just not worth it. In the same way, I would love to have a boxing gym. it's just not worth my time. It really isn't. Now, if I could be a small little partner in a boxing gym, different story. In the same way for these billionaires, yeah, they'll take the 250K or $1 million or $500,000 speaking engagement. You think these people don't monetize their knowledge? You're just looking in the wrong way. You're like, oh, they don't sell info. Okay, well then please tell me what the fuck are they selling when they have a $500,000 speaking fee, $1 million speaking fee? All of those people paid money to be at that event. So what's the difference? They are selling their knowledge and people are paying for said knowledge, except they are paying the person who's running the whole thing. And out of this amount of money that's being made, the billionaire speaker who charges a $500K or $1 million keynote fee, yeah, maybe they only get this much, but they don't have to deal with all of the other headache and stress that comes with them. So it always comes down to simple give and take. So please, the next time you try to hear someone who slanders the info or coaching industry's name, and says stupid shit like, oh, well, you don't see billionaires selling info. Can you please educate them in the same way you don't see people who are already pre-existing 100 millionaires starting coffee shops, unless it's something they love more than anything. And by the way, as I said, if these billionaires look down on info so much, just do it for free. Your keynote, why charge for the keynote? Why charge for these guest appearances? If you really care so much about giving back, and it's actually just the ethical morality thing of you just want to give back, why don't you do it for free? Why are you charging? And yet they all charge, all of them. You know why? Because they also understand the info space is the best business on earth. For them, they're like, okay, let me get this straight. I get to just transfer my knowledge. I get to charge for the information that I have, and I can charge 250, 500K, $1 million, whatever it is for their speaking engagement or speaking fees. By the way, even the people that absolutely trash and talk on courses and info and whatever it is, they still make all their money from speaking engagements. So for me, I always find it hilarious. I'm like, my guy, people are paying $700 to be at that event. You're charging the company that's charging the people to be there and sell your information, your knowledge. How are you any different? So why are you trying to play this morality game as if you are any different? So just understand, info is by far the greatest cash flow business on earth. Now, there's people who already have enough of a head start. Tony Robbins, for example, he's a billionaire. Why does he still sell info? He still sells info because he's like, wait, let me get this straight. I already have this pre-existing system. Why would I leave 20 or 30 or 50 or however much they actually do in net profit? I've heard top line numbers of 9 figures plus, but let's call it 40 or $50 million a year on the table in profit, whatever it is, maybe 30, I don't know. He's like, even though I'm a billionaire, why would I leave that on the table? Now, bear in mind, he's been building that infrastructure. For a fresh billionaire to come in and build that whole infrastructure, it's a lot of times not worth it. In the same way, if I can buy a stake in a coffee shop or a stake in a gym and it's running successful, it doesn't give me any headaches, I take some profit distributions, it's not really that much, but whatever, then that makes sense. But for me to start a coffee shop in my position is ridiculous. For me to start a gym in my position is ridiculous. So it has absolutely zero, and I mean literally zero, to do with billionaires looking down on info. In fact, as I said, in the last 4 weeks alone, I've had, I guess one, I've met for the first time, so I can't really say he's in my network. But the other 3 acquaintances, some even good friends of mine, like actual good friends, billionaires, and they talk to me about info all the time. They're fascinated by it. They're like, this is the most incredible business model ever. They genuinely they're stunned by it. In the same way, if someone came to me and they were telling me about their business, and from that business, I realized the ease of use for them to make $1 million a year. And I look at that and I'm like, this is the best $1 million business ever in the world. This is incredible. It's easy to run, it's fulfilling, it's enjoyable, it's all these things. For me, just at where I am in my career, I can't get distracted by $1 million things. Like, that's just too small of an opportunity for me. Now, would I love to do that opportunity? Yes. In the same way, all these ultra wealthy people, I'm talking high 9 figures, 10 figures, 11 figures, you name it. They would love to get an info. And by the way, a lot of them still monetize with info. In fact, majority of them still monetize with info through speaking engagements, private consulting, all these things. But for them to build a whole info machine, they would love to. It's just the juice isn't worth the squeeze for them. In the same way, for me, this juice isn't worth the squeeze for some businesses. And by the way, even in your life, there's certain businesses in your life where you're like, I would love to have a business like that. But it would be irresponsible and irrational for me to do it. Even though I love to do it, it just doesn't make sense for where I am in my career. So with all that being said, I hope this didn't come across in the wrong way. And I already know some of you guys are like, oh, you just try to flex or whatever. Like, no, flexing would be revealing who these people are and my proximity is and like how tight I am with some of these people. But I specifically left those things out because I'm just trying to give you context. I'm just trying to help you understand that, like, you might hear something on Twitter or some opinion of some relevant person here. Don't ever, I've said this before and I'll say this again, I genuinely think that info, coaching, whatever you want to call this industry, is the most villainized industry on earth. And by the way, there are a lot of industries that were extremely villainized. Amazon was extremely villainized for the longest time. Can you believe that? Offering cheaper solutions and faster, and yet it was still villainized and it was called a scam for a long time. And then you look at our industry, offering cheaper solutions faster and by people with more credibility, the traditional university system, and we get called a scam. I've seen this before. I've seen this pattern many times before. And I think that's one of the other reasons I made this video, because for some time in the past, I almost felt like ashamed. And I think it's just because of irrelevant people's comments where it's like, for some reason, you should be ashamed of being in the info space. Why should you be ashamed of providing a solution that's better, cheaper, and more credible than the traditional education system? Why should you feel ashamed for that? So I guess I'm also making that video for, me 3-4 years ago that thought, oh, but people say this isn't a real business. Why not? What makes a business real and what doesn't? You want to sit on your high horse and pretend just because you make products from China with a 10x markup that for some reason you're better or you're a serious entrepreneur? And by the way, this is coming from someone that makes millions of dollars a year from products in China with a 10x markup, because that's how D2C brands work. And by the way, I'm very proud of what we produce at my eyewear brand. But I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like we're real business owners and education companies aren't. Like, it just makes no sense to me. And if you are in the info space, for the love of God, just realize you are in one of the fastest growing industries in the world. We have so much money pouring out from the old traditional education systems. And where do you think that money is gonna go? Obviously, WAP is the best payments platform on earth for our industry. No one even comes close. I look at the data day in, day out, and all I see is growth. And that's just the pure hard data. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed your year of summer, but time to get back, time to get full focus, time to get to work. As I said, the last time I had this feeling was before a big period of growth, and I'm getting that feeling again where I'm like antsy. I'm like, I have to be on my desk. I have to be working. I have to be pouring more attention into this industry that we operate in, because sky's the limit. And by the way, that's exactly what we help our clients do at consultant.com. Hit $1 million, sometimes even multi-million-dollar months with sky-high margins, not poverty margins, not vanity margins. So to not run the risk of rambling any further, stick at it. I swear you are so early into this space.